Dr. Alike, you're very welcome again. My name is Dr. Martin Lwanga, and I happen to be the current Dean of the Faculty of Business and Administration. Here before you are members of our faculty. They are specialists in areas of business administration. We have lecturers in economics, lecturers in entrepreneurship, lecturers in accounting, the diverse business areas. And we have got in our faculty over 3,000 students. So these young men and women have really got a very important job to do. And I felt, what better way can we be mentored by someone like you? I must tell you, colleagues, that when I eventually got hold of Dr. Alike, which was not very difficult, some people, you can take months and months trying to get hold of him, he immediately accepted without any hesitation. It was just a question of going and checking with his diary, and he said, okay, this is the day when I'm available. And Doctor, we are anxiously waiting to hear words of wisdom you can share with us. And after that, some of us may ask some burning questions.
I understand this place is infested by all Budonians. Had I known that, I would have brought my caliper. For those of you who have been to that school, you know, if you are a senior, you are entitled to pull the nose of the juniors. But also, I must thank the three speakers, who have pronounced my name correctly. Alike, not Alika. So, when people talk about me, sometimes I have to pinch myself to find out that I am the one they're talking about. Now, I consider it a great honor for me to be asked to address this group at Uganda Christian University. It is an honor because you're a group of intellectuals and budding business people who will in time be the captains of industry in this country. In a way, you are very lucky to be in this country at this time. The opportunities are many and more are coming. Think of when the black gold, i.e. oil, comes out of the ground. Think of the millions of tourists pouring into this country. You will be spoiled for choice. About the black gold, I was the chairman of Heritage Oil and Gas Company. We were the first people to hit the oil in the Lake Albert area. I have to tell you a small story. We thought we could hit oil in 2004. And the president of Uganda was informed about this. And he made a Christmas speech. He wrote a Christmas speech in which he was going to announce to Uganda, we have oil and we are going to be rich. Well, on the 12th of December 2004, we hit carbon dioxide. And the Bazungu who were in the company were terrified. They didn't want to give the president this bad news. So it was my duty to go and tell the president, sorry, no gas. No oil, rather. We just have gas, carbon dioxide. But I want you to know, our own geologists, Ugandan geologists, said we are convinced that there is oil. Therefore, you go 20 kilometers to the north and try again. We went 60 kilometers and we hit oil at 2,000 meters. Later on, we went north of River Nile into my backyard. I come from Gulu. There we hit oil at 600 meters. In other words, it takes longer to build the platform for the oil rig than to drill it. Whereas in Bunyoro, you have to go down 2,000 meters of rock to be able to reach the oil. So oil will start flowing, I hope, at least by 2020. That's when you were supposed to reach the middle income group. I don't think you will reach it there. Now, first of all, I want to congratulate all of you for making up the academic ladder to reach Uganda Christian University. I hope you reach honestly and not by using somebody else's examination transcript. In Uganda, many strange things happen. Take, for example, the politician from eastern Uganda who got A in English at O level. The rest of the subjects, he got Fs. In time, his Fs grew a front leg and became As. So with his 9 subjects of A's, he got the division 4. Very strange. But wait a minute. The gentleman has an MBA and recently acquired a PhD. The degree which you are hoping to get will be in business studies. This is now the most popular course in Uganda. Most of you dream of becoming big-time businessmen. That is perfectly legitimate dream. Unfortunately, those who graduated before you from universities in Uganda have found this dream to be a mirage. When you think you have reached it, it disappears or moves away in front of you. Many degree holders in business are now pounding the streets of Uganda looking for jobs which are not there. I was not looking for a job when I left university. I had a profession that could put matoke on the table for my family. I had a job with the colonial government of Uganda with a good pay and good terms of employment. I was recruited as a colonial civil servant with home leave in the UK every 2 years. Then I met a British accountant who said to me, "Martin, you will never be rich working for somebody else." I thought about the statement for some time. In the end, I decided that the accountant, Mr. Bill Stewart, was right. I resigned from the government, giving up the secure job, and went on my own. I have never looked back. In my first year of practice, after paying all my expenses, which included rent, salary for staff, cost of material and equipment, I made more money than any civil servant, including the governor, who today would be the president of the Republic of Uganda. How did that money come about? It came about mainly through hard work and honesty. I worked from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. 6 days a week. I was young like you, with plenty of energy. What did I do with my money? Today, many of you who come into money want to blow it. You want a fancy car, you want to take girl 1 to fancy place, girl 2 to fancy place, girl 3 to fancy place, etc., etc. I saved my money. I drove a Beetle, number URL 851, grey in color. The last time I saw it was in Nakurabi on stilts, on stones. After saving a reasonable sum of money, I built a house for myself and then began to invest in business. What kind of investments are good? As a poor man, please try to find investments which are secure. Do not speculate unless you have lots of money. First, I built houses which rented easily. Then I looked at secure business. Cooper Motors sold cars, and cars were very popular in those days. W.E. Green sold men's clothes, and men like to dress up, just like women, and the breweries. Many Ugandans put money into business that look attractive, yielding big profits. But we never look to see how many years the company has been in business and who runs the company. These are many questions you should ask of a company before you put your little money in there. It is better you put the money into a saving account than risk it. Unless, of course, your father has lots of money to lend you. But more of that later. Let us come back to you and your millions you dream of making. I want to tell you about an organization which many of you have heard about. I am talking about Junior Achievement in Uganda. Some of you may have participated in their program. I have been with it on a purely voluntary basis since the organization came to Uganda in 2007. We mentor young potential business people. Over the years, I have seen that what talent lies dormant in Uganda. I'll give you only one example. A young boy in Form 5 in a school in Kampala joined the Junior Achievement Program. He founded a company afterwards he founded a company making paper bags. Today, he employs over 20 people, including his father, making and selling paper bags. He has finished Makerere and he's not looking for a job. I do not think he studied business at Makerere. How many of you will start your own business? Let us go back to what makes you succeed or fail in business. Start with failure. Number one for us as Ugandans is undercapitalization. We do not have enough money with which to start a business. You build a house, the first floor is finished, the second floor is not yet started, and you start renting the first floor. There, not only do you risk the traumatizing of the tenants, but you also risk putting their lives into danger. Number 2, mixing business with family, that is employing your siblings. 3, failure to differentiate between turnover and profit. 4, failure to save money. 5, lack of imagination. Mr. Mukasa has a restaurant, Mr. Musoke starts a restaurant right next door. If you go to Nkrumah Street, there is one store after another of stationery, making stationery and fake academic degrees. 6, very strict accounting of your business. The recipe for success is the opposite of the above. All over the world, some people fail in business. The reasons are not very different from why we fail in business in Uganda. I do not for one moment want you to succeed the Indian way. I'm not being racist, but what do I mean the Indian way? The Indian because the Indians, because of their culture, deprive themselves of the basic freedom. I see they sleep in the same house with their children or their parents. They deny themselves the freedom to be individuals. We are from a different culture, and we must seek different solutions to becoming rich. I could not follow the Indian way to become rich. That is just too much for us, not for the Indians. Indians can do it, let them do it. But I don't think that I want to sleep in the same house with my parents and my family. That is just so I can save money and be rich. It goes against the grain. In order to be a leader in business or any other endeavor, I forgot to tell you about this Indian youngster who, when he thought he had become a man, went to his father and said, "Now, Daddy, I am interested in women. I want to get married." So the father said, "Well, God gave you 5 fingers to please your lady friend. With this finger, you can tickle her ear. With this finger, you can tickle her nose. With this finger, you can tickle her belly button. And this thumb, you can tickle her neck." And the father stopped. And the son said, "But Daddy, you have forgotten the longest finger." He said, "Ha, son, that finger is for the cash register." Now, in order to be a leader in business or any other endeavor, you must first succeed in the business. Unfortunately, in this country, most of the successful business people are not highly educated. It has almost been accepted that in order to be rich or succeed in business, you must not have a degree. In the developed countries, many millionaires are university graduates. The reason why non-graduates succeed in business is because they start early and small. By the way, those who are a success are a very small percentage. Not all the uneducated people who start in business become successful. Only very, very small become successful. But because they are uneducated, they stand out like a sore thumb. And everybody points at them and you see, you don't have to go to university to become rich. Most of them fail. Without mentioning names, you can count the top captains of industry in this country without degrees. I met a woman who lives about 30 miles on Kampala-Mityana Road. I was taken to her house, built with imported Italian marbles. She drinks champagne from crystal glasses, and she never finished P7. When I was going to her house, I looked and I saw a building. I said, that's a lovely house. I was told, no, that's not a house. That is only a changing building for those who want to swim in the swimming pool. Her house should be in Kampala, preferably on top of Kololo Hill. She is in the business of used clothes. She pays a little tax on the imported goods, but otherwise no income tax, because she is classified as a farmer in a rural area. Such people exist, but they are few. Unfortunately, you, as a graduate of Uganda Christian University, cannot compete with her because your standard of living when you start is already high. Your expectations in life are different from hers. This lady is not aspiring to be a leader. She just wants to make money. Because we see the uneducated making money, we get discouraged. But you can make a difference if you swallow your pride and greed for good living early in your business career. Holders of business degrees are supposed to go out into the world and create jobs. You are not expected to be job hunting. At least that is what the government says. It is through your efforts that Uganda is to reach middle income status by 2030. It used to be 2020. They have moved it by 10 years. Why, are you grumbling that it is not true? The reason why we cannot reach middle income group are the following. Work ethics. When it rains, 60% of the employees do not turn up for work. Some months ago, my gardener did not come to work. When I called him to find out what was wrong, his reply was, "Tola wemkwa ngabwe tonya." B. Actual work. In Nairobi, I had 2 acres of land with 1 gardener. In Kampala, I have 1 acre with 2 gardeners. 1 Kikuyu worker is equal to 2 Ugandan workers. Our workers are very good. Okunyumya mbozi. One of the worst modern inventions is the mobile telephone. Workers are forever on the telephone. 3. Absenteeism. In the course of 1 month, a Ugandan worker went off 3 times to go and bury relatives. My young father, the uncle of my mother, my older father, etc., etc. When the worker gets to the burial place, the first thing relatives ask for is money, which the worker has not earned. But he or she wants to be paid for no work. This interruption by death applies to all Ugandans. If a person of relative importance dies and the funeral service is on Wednesday, the office where the deceased works will close because people are going to the church. Then the body goes up country. Some people will accompany the body. The burial is either on Thursday or on Friday. The week is wasted and no work is done. No productivity. The mother of a minister died one year. The whole ministry was closed for the church service. Most of the civil servants never knew the old lady, and yet all of them went or supposed to have gone to church. You cannot develop a country like that. In the course of 1 year, many working hours and days are wasted over dead bodies. For example, take an example of a Japanese worker. The man worked for 360 days and he only took off 5 days to rest. Can you compete with a person like that? No. Most of us work 5 days a week, which is 260 days a year. We rest for 104 days a year. Obviously, someone putting in 360 days produces more. It is said that if you want an African to work to his best, post him away from his country. Send a Ugandan to Algeria or Botswana. Send an Angolan to Nigeria or Ethiopia. Send him where he does not have to go to funerals any week. Keep him away from his drunken brothers who comes to beg money from him every month, or from his sister who is forever pregnant with a different man. In my view, in order for you to do business and succeed, you need the following. 1, you must have a passion for what you want to manufacture or sell. Do not go into hardware business because Musoke has gone into it and he seems to be successful. Try to be original. B, work out a business plan to present to a bank. I am assuming that you are going to borrow money from a bank. Please never borrow money from individuals except your rich father. If you want to kill your friendship, borrow money from a foolish friend, because he's foolish to lend you the money. 3, understand the difference between turnover and profit. Pay back the bank as promised. Live frugally while you build the business. And under no circumstances, do not employ relatives unless you want to pay. Keep strict account of every shilling you spend. Never open the cash register unless for business or to take the money to the bank. Commit yourself to those things you are able to do without straining yourself. In other words, drive a picky if it need be before you can drive a car. Don't go for a Mercedes which is non-productive. Buy a pickup which will enhance your business. And do not compare yourself with the next businessman, because he must be doing it differently. Finally, a sore point. If you are married, involve your wife in business so that she knows why you have to travel or come home late at night. If your wife understands your business, she does not make unnecessary demands on you, and she might even help you. Above all, be honest with yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adeke. I think we all can say this is something we ought to have had 20 years ago, 10 years ago. Yeah, but I think it's never too late, and it has come very timely for us. Dr. Alike, I think one of the things also which we have to advantage is that some people are taping us, so we shall be able to take on this message to those who have not been able to be here, but we thank you very much. What we're going now to do is to take questions from the audience. I'll begin with my question, and then we shall also be listening from the audience. So please, if you have any questions, please you can write them down. Okay, yeah, so the DVCA may leave at any time, so don't feel offended. We have something to work on. Dr. Alike, the question which I have is, you have sat on many boards. You talked about heritage, where you're sitting on the board of Coca-Cola, the board of Uganda Clays. Actually, Uganda Clays, when he became the chair, it was a company which was almost closing down. Was it true? It was really had gone under. So your business experience has made you know what makes a company successful. I wanted you to share with us what do you really see, or what would you really look for to make a company successful?
Should I answer?
Or can we now have maybe, how many questions can we take, Katiko?
No, I'd rather do one by one.
Okay, all right.
Thank you very much for that question, and especially Uganda Clays. Uganda Clays was the first company to be quoted on the stock exchange. When I was appointed a director, it was the week in which the managing director, Mr. John Wafula, the late Mr. John Wafula, left. He left the same week. We also used to go to the same church, but I went to the 7:30 service in the morning. He went to the 11:30 service in the evening, in the afternoon, or late morning rather. I never met Mr. Wafula. However, what he did was he combined the profits of the previous year with the profits of the current year and paid out dividends to shareholders. Therefore, he left smelling like a flower. The shareholders were very happy with him. I come in as an ordinary director 6 months later, we cannot pay our salaries for the workers. We were bankrupt. At that point, the chairman resigned, and I was asked to take over. What I found was what I told you not to do. All heads of department were employing relatives all the way down the supply chain. Mr. Wafula had been there for 25 years, and Uganda Clays was the only company that was making tires for roofs at that time. So the product was selling by itself. So what we had to do was to make changes in the company. I invited the sales manager to come and make a presentation to the board. And he was asked, could you tell us what you do in the course of the day when you come to the office? His reply was, I come, I sit down, and I wait for the customers. He had never been to visit the customers. He had never been to try to recruit more customers. Nothing. He just came, sat in the office, and that's all. So we had to ask him to leave and brought in another sales manager. Within 1 month of his departure, we doubled the sales. The rest is history. Today, we have got money in our account. We have paid all the debts. Interestingly, the bank wanted to foreclose on us. The day I wrote the last check to pay them, you know what the bank said? Would you like to borrow some more money? Now, I am very happy about this question because Uganda Clays is not only the first company to be quoted on the stock exchange, but it is the only company in this country which is wholly run by Ugandans. And I was not going to walk away from a company so that history will say, here lies a company that was killed by a Ugandan. That is why I applied every energy I had in my body to save that country, a company. And today, I am going to retire at the next AGM when I pay another dividend. But I am leaving behind a company that has got cash in savings account. Thank you, sir.
What does it take to have a successful family? I'm sure many of our young people would like to hear from that.
There is no textbook about marriage. Many young people have come to me to find out the recipe for successful marriage. Every marriage has got its own problem. The day I tell you that in my marriage I don't have any problem, you say, thank you, Martin, I'll say, goodbye, I will see you next time. But if I have to tell you what makes a successful marriage. It is not love. Because love, you have love for your parents, love for your friends, love for your children, love for your dog, and there is one love which is totally unreasonable. That is the total love for your grandchildren. That is called stupidity. How can a human being not do anything wrong? Those things for which you used to cane your children, now when your grandchildren do it, you just laugh. You break a cup, so what? I can buy another cup. In my marriage, I think the only word I can use that has kept us together is respect. If you respect your spouse, you don't do those things which upset them.
My question is about employing relatives. I've heard many people say it's a strategy that has somewhat helped our Indian brothers and sisters succeed in the workings of business and have them and sustain their businesses and establish their family legacies. And in regards to this, you've advised us not to lean so much to our relatives when it gets to the workings of the business. Is it something that is different to do with our culture or for some other reasons?
You can employ your relatives because the company is so big that no single individual can really wreck it. But if you are starting out in life and you employ your brother, when he comes late to work, he doesn't want you to challenge him why he's late. By not doing that, you are setting an example for the other workers also to be late. I was paying school fees for one of my relatives, and I went home to Gulu and I was challenged, why did you stop paying school fees for so and so? I said, who told you I had stopped paying school fees? He said, oh, the other day he asked you to buy him a mobile telephone and you refused. Now, mobile telephone is not part of the school fees. But because he's a relative, he assumes that the school fees includes mobile telephone. Yeah, because you cannot exert the same pressure on a relative as you can exert on a stranger. If you sack your brother, you're going to go and meet at your parents' house, and there is a problem. So you are always under pressure. So I would say, if you can avoid it, don't employ your relative. The Indians have got a culture, and their culture is very different from ours. I don't understand their culture, and if you can understand the culture, and you want to adopt it to do your business and employ your relatives, go ahead and do it. But I don't understand Indian culture, and I don't want to, because it goes against my own culture.
What does it take to be a good leader and manager of people?
Honesty. Because if you say something or do something, don't assume that people don't understand, even if it is a professional one. People understand, and if they believe that you tell the truth and you act accordingly, they will listen to you. But if you are not honest, it will also come out. and you will not be a leader of people. So honesty is the key to becoming a good leader.
One of the reasons why we invited you is that as a faculty of business, one of our goals is to become a leading business school in Africa. Some people say that there is a gap between academia and the business world. Any ideas of how we can be able to bridge that gap? How business schools can be able to link up with the private sector?
It is very appropriate and easy for business schools to link up with business. By the way, may I just throw a spanner in the works? Your discipline was never intended to be a university course. When Aristotle and the others were founding universities, business was never considered part of a university.
Sure.
There were only two subjects taught in those universities: mathematics and philosophy, neither of which could find you a job. It took the British a long time to accept engineering as a university course. I think Oxford still does not have engineering, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody might want to correct me. Cambridge has engineering. But to become the best university business school in Uganda, let's start with that. It is how the admission of the quality of students, the content of your syllabi, and what the products of your university demonstrate. I already have heard that graduates on business from this university are preferred over the graduates of other universities in Uganda. That's what I have heard. And number two is Nkozi. Those are the two universities whose graduates in business are supposed to be worth employing. So, if you, in your syllabus, you can combine internship with several companies for your students to get experience in what business entails. It will be not only a means of bridging the gap, but also telling your students this is what you are going to get into if you will take this course, and when you start and you want to be a businessman on your own. So in fact I encourage the relationship between industry and business.
Now, Dr. Esso, by the way, for those of you who have not read his book, his biography has just come out. And Doctor, we have got the librarian, and we are going to order a bunch of them for our students so that they can learn more about his life. One of the things which I found very interesting was, tell us something about your father. He was a self-educated man, and he was quite a rarity.
No, my father, when went to school for 1 year. That is all, to learn how to read and write in Luo. Then he was taken as a clerk after 1 year by a district commissioner called Mr. Postlethwaite. And Mr. Postlethwaite said to him, "You must learn English." And my father's salary at that time was 2 rupees, 4 shillings a month. He used to pay 1 rupee to a missionary called Reverend Lees, who taught him English before the office opened in the morning. And then he had a dictionary given to him by D.C. Postlethwaite, and he used to read the London Times about 6 weeks after its publication. That's how he learned his English. And then he learned Luganda from the missionaries who went to Achole land. And he learned Arabic from the soldiers of occupation who were working for the British. And he learned Swahili from the business people. Then when he became a chief, he had many cattle, and he recruited Banyankole herdsmen, and he learned Banyankole from there. Now the last language he learned when I was aware was Iteso, for which he used to pay somebody to come at 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and the fellow had an Iteso Bible, my father had a Luo Bible, and they used to read from both Bibles, and that's how he learned Iteso. So he was obviously a linguist, but his formal education was 1 year. After that, he wrote a book, which was published in 1945, about the clans of Acholi. It was written in Luo. So that's that. Otherwise, he was a very difficult man because he was a chief, and one of the things he learned by coming to Buganda was that you have to have a Mabati house. So when he came to Buganda, stayed with Sir Apollo Kagwa, he went back and he built a Mabati house, which stands even today.
Very, very interesting. We have another question?
Thank you. I've read a few excerpts from your book, and you're a business person, but you found yourself associating with politicians. In your book, there are sections where I think President Museveni asked you to mediate something during the time when there was the Lockerbie bombing over Scotland. And my question is really associated with how a successful businessman can associate with politicians and not allowing them to pollute your business. Because as the business grows, you get noticed more and more. And you get both enemies and friends. So how are you able to navigate that thin line? Because you're a successful businessman, dentist, then you ask to be an advisor, then you ask to help here and there in politics, but you don't want to compromise your principles, you don't want your business to be affected. So how do you navigate that thin line? Thank you.
That's a very good question. It's a tricky one to navigate because politicians are known for having difficulty knowing what is the truth and what is not the truth. In other words, they are basically liars. I was asked to join the government first by Lule, because what happened was when Amin attacked Tanzania, we all went to Moshi, and there we found General Tito Okello, who was then the leader of the Acholi, who were fighting alongside the Tanzanians. And he said to me, when we get back home, we, the fighters, want you to be the president of Uganda. I thought about it, and I knew that if it was announced in Uganda that I was going to be the next president when Amin is toppled, by the time I got home, my parents would not be there. So that weighed very heavily on me. And I said to Tito Okello, you know, the Baganda have been yearning to have a Uganda president. Why don't we make Lule the president? That's how Lule became president. I am the one who made Lule president. But Lockerbie, President Museveni called me from Nairobi, and he said to me, he was then the chairman of the OAU, and Gaddafi was trying to recruit as many helpers against the Americans as he could. So he asked Museveni to plead with the Americans to have the case transferred to Britain. And Museveni did not know who to talk to in America, so he called me. And I remember very clearly saying to him, I said, Mr. President, you have asked me to do things for you and I have succeeded, but this one, I don't think it will succeed because the public opinion in America is very anti-Gaddafi. And Museveni said the following, I know, but just go and add your little voice, you never know what happens. I called somebody in America who fixed an appointment with people from CIA. And when we met and I told them what I wanted, they said, we have no objection. After all, British law is the same as ours. So the case can be transferred to England. So when I came back and told Museveni, he said, you see, I told you. And that's how I got into politics.
We are now living in a generation where influence is very much important. How do we grapple about it? How do we borrow and live from you on how to lead our businesses into such influence so that we gain ground? Thank you so much.
In order to, the experience is one thing. Many people have got experiences. When you are leading a company, it has many aspects, but it all boils down to your own personality. Let me give you one example. A certain company had a lot of money to spend on public relations, and it was the chairman's to determine where the money was spent. So we discussed how to allocate the money. Then suddenly the Englishman who was the owner of the company said to me, Martin, why are you not greedy? I said, what do you mean? He said, we have all this money Other people would be asking for money to do this, money to do that for themselves. But you never seem to ask for money for yourself. And I said, as far as I know, this money belongs to shareholders. Mr. Roberto Gozetta. He says to his PA, Linda, draft a letter telling the chief pilot his services are no longer required. It was 2 weeks to Christmas. I said, Roberto, you are going to fire somebody 2 weeks before Christmas? I wonder what his wife will think. He said, Martin, do you mind stepping out the door just a bit? I stepped out. He said, now, Martin, come in. You are now the chief pilot. Martin, thank you very much for your services. However, the board has decided that your services are no longer required. Your benefits will be communicated to you by the company secretary. Thank you very much for your services and Merry Christmas. Martin, we never made a contract with his wife. We don't know who she is. We don't know what she does, what she looks like, although we do. The moment you start thinking about sentiment, you are no longer fit for this chair. Because even I, when the board of directors want to fire me, they do it without what I have achieved in the past. That is business.
Very interesting. I wanted to sum up with one great question. You will become 90 in October, is that so?
Pardon?
You will become 90 in October?
Yes.
In October. So, isn't that amazing? Yes. Yeah. What are some of the secrets of a long life? By the way, yeah, what are some of the secrets you can give?
I don't know. I think I come from a line of long-living people. By the way, if you live long enough, you'll get old. Although you see me now bent and walking with a cane, this all came in the last 18 months because of my condition. But I don't feel 90. Inside me, I don't feel I am 90 years old. And I think that is probably the main reason. When I was 10 years old, at the age of 20, you were very old. When I became 30, at 50, you were very old. When I got to be 50, 75, you were very old. Now, I don't know what to say. But I've just been lucky that I have not suffered from the many, many diseases which old age brings on. I have no high blood pressure. I have no diabetes. My cholesterol reading is that of a 20-year-old. So I have been very lucky. That's all I can say. Because cancer can hit you at any age. Diabetes can hit you at any age. I have young friends who have got diabetes. I have young friends who have got high blood pressure. But God spared me that. So I can't say because of my good living, although I have loved sports. I played tennis until I got interested in golf. Now I play golf. I can't hit the ball as long as I used to, but it's still nice to ride in the buggy to go and play the game. I think game sports is very important in life. And I am sorry that 90% of all the schools in the Kampala area have no playground. Can you believe that? 90% of the schools have no playground.
If time and tasks would allow, I think we'd stay a little longer, isn't it? Yeah, but time is such that we must come to an end with such wonderful words. There's one I've picked here that if you are a liability in business, your history does not count. Is that okay? I've done the same. Now I'd like to invite Mrs. Elsin Siona to move a vote of thanks to Dr. Alike, after which the Dean will hand over a token of appreciation to Dr. Alike, just as a remembrance of this wonderful visit to the Faculty of Business and Administration.
Now, I want to thank, first of all of you for coming. Thank you for coming. Thank you for spending this time. I want to thank the Dean for organizing this. It's the maiden one we really do appreciate. Now to Dr. Alike. It's so amazing, I am lost for words. We want to thank you so very much. First of all and most of all for the passion with which you do what you do. You know, I must say that when you walked in here, in my mind I was thinking, oh, because I saw that your health was not perfect. But when you talked, with every single word, I kept appreciating what value you had to give us. And I just realized what we would have missed if you had not come. We want to appreciate you so very much. There is so much I have learned as a person. And I trust that everybody here has learned a lot. Most of all, I want to thank you for sharing your personal life experiences. I think that is where we have learned most. And I have learned from you today that actually it is not the knowledge which matters. But even then, and wealthy as he is, he's so approachable. He has this high level of humility. I am amazed. He's so organized. He's so organized. Dr. Lwanga said when he went to him for appointment, he just said, wait a minute, and opened his diary. And right there, he got an appointment. Dr. Lwanga didn't have to go through this Ugandan thing of come later. Check on me next week. Now call again. That is super organization. That's where we need to go. And then he's very prudent, and I also noticed very religious. Very religious. He's in church at a certain time, in a certain service, every Sunday. I think this is very important for us because this is a Christian institution. And some of our core values are actually aligned, embodied in Christianity. So we did, those are very remarkable. Now, you mentioned so many areas from personal to family to business to leadership. We have what we need right here with us. I noticed that Dr. Alike emphasized honesty. Honesty, honesty, honesty. I have learned that eventually the truth will come out. And when it does come out, then you lose what you have been commanding as a leader. So honesty both in personal life, but also in relationships with others.
We thank you for our guest speaker, Dr. Alike. He has been up to the point. He's been down to earth on many things. We thank you for his life. We thank you for his ministry in this country. We thank you for his influence. We thank you for what he has done. We pray that you will bless us and dismiss us with your blessing. And for those who are traveling, including doctoral care, that you will take him home safely. In the name of Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen.